Hello. Welcome to A Better Way to Think About Modes by Delano Besaw. Alright, so what are modes anyway? Modes are just scales with weird names. A scale is a set of intervals that tell you which notes to play if you know where to start. So basically a major scale is the intervals whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, which brings us back to the first note we started on, which is called the tonic. After that, the pattern repeats with another whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, over and over and over and over again, as high as you want to go. So that's the first mode of that scale. The second mode of the scale comes from doing the same pattern, but starting on the next step. So instead of starting on whole, whole, half, we're going to start here with the whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole, to bring us back to the second note. So basically, any scale you have, you can find modes of it by changing where you start in the pattern of intervals. This is the usual way that I see this being taught, which is dumb. Typically, people start with C major because it has no sharps, no flats, nice and easy. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then they say, if you want the next mode, just start on the second note. So then you get D, E, F, G, A, B, C, back to D. Wow, you got a mode, right? You got, cool, that's helpful, right? You got the same exact set of notes, but this one's different. Same notes, but it's different. Just trust me, it's different. Terrible
Stupid.
way to think about modes. Dumb, bad, not helpful. Because then you got these 7 modes here, and they all use the same notes. What? They're literally the same notes, but they're different? Okay, dumb. Next, okay, here's why that sucks. Hard to hear the difference between the modes if they all have the same exact notes. Obviously, all the notes are the same. 7 modes, all the same notes. They're not going to sound that different. Out of context, at least. Second one, keeps you trapped in a box. We have 12 notes in Western music, and we're going to stick to these 7. We're only going to use 7 notes. Dumb. Okay, here's the cool guy way. We're going to look at every mode in the context of the same tonic note. We're going to use C. So the first one is not the major mode, actually. It's Lydian. Why is Lydian the first mode? Literally doesn't matter. It just makes the most sense for this pattern. And I'll tell you why it doesn't matter later. Just wait. So we're going to start with Lydian. C Lydian. We got a whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half. Brings us from C to C, as you can see on this handy dandy chart right here. So now to get to the next mode, we're not just going to start on the next note of that same set of notes, because that's stupid. We are going to flatten the 4th of the Lydian scale, which gives us Ionian, another word for the major scale. That brings us to whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. The great thing about this is you can play these 2 modes back and forth, and you can hear the difference. You can play a C Lydian, you can flatten the 4th, change it to C Ionian, and you can hear the difference between these 2 modes. And you can practice it. You can get it through your thick skull that this is the difference between these 2 modes. And you can actually internalize it this way by getting used to the sound of the sharp 4th versus the flat 4th. Except they're not called that. It's called the tritone and the perfect 4th. But that doesn't really matter right now. So on to the next mode. We're going to flatten the 7th note of the Ionian mode to give us the Mixolydian mode. And again, you can hear the contrast between Ionian and Mixolydian. I really like Mixolydian. The minor 7 sounds awesome sometimes. And that's the thing. You can pick. You want the minor 7 or the major 7. And then to get to the next mode, Dorian, we're going to flatten the 3rd from Mixolydian. That gives us Dorian. This is the switch from the major sounding modes to the minor sounding modes. And the main difference is that flat 3rd. Flatten the 3rd, it sounds minor. It sounds sad. It sounds serious. Sharpen the 3rd, it sounds major and bright and happy. So from Dorian, we can flatten the 6th to give us Aeolian, what people know as minor. From Aeolian, we're going to flatten the 2nd. Oh no, flatten 2nd. That gives us Phrygian. And then from Phrygian, we can flatten the 5th. Flatten that perfect 5th. That's crazy. Why would you do that? That gives you Locrian, which basically sucks, but it's one of the modes because that's how the patterns work out. Okay, I'm gonna need you to sit down for this next part because it's incredible. We can keep going. So we flattened the 4th, 7th, 3rd, 6th, 2nd, and 5th. That's 6 different intervals that we flattened. What's left? The freaking 1st, the freaking tonic. We can freaking flatten or sharpen the tonic, and it gives us another mode. So if we're in C Lydian at the top of the chart, we can sharpen the tonic. Gives us C sharp Locrian. If we're at the bottom of the chart in C Locrian, we can flatten the tonic, which gives us B Lydian. And if you look at the chart, it starts on Lydian. We can just keep going. Keep flattening notes and going down and down and down to all different possibilities. So sick. And then also up here at the top of the chart, we can keep going up and up and up and up with this same pattern. From Locrian to Phrygian, Aeolian, Dorian, Mixolydian, Ionian, and Lydian. And then it just goes and goes forever. So sick. Okay, so why is this a better way to think about it? We keep the tonic note the same. So when you go to a new mode, you move up and down the chart, the difference is clear. We're changing one note at a time here. It's very simple to hear the difference between the modes and to actually get them into your head. If you're playing the 7 same notes over and over again, but starting on a different note each time, it's going to sound the same because it's the same notes. Another good thing is that it divides the modes into major sounding up top and minor sounding down below. So you can kind of go down the chart and get darker and darker and darker in terms of tone. Or if you want a brighter sound, you bring it higher and higher and higher. It opens your mind to new possibilities. So if you look at the chart, it seems kind of random, right? We're flattening the 4th, and then the 7th, and then the 3rd, and then the 6th, and then the 2nd, and then the 5th, and then the 1st, if you want to keep it going. Why? Why are these the numbers that we sharpen or flatten to go to the next mode? That's the cool part. The cool part is that it literally doesn't matter what you're sharpening or flattening. Literally just pick a scale, move some notes around, and find a sound that you like. The modes are literally just names for a series of intervals. You don't have to use them. You don't have to know the names. You can literally just pick some notes, move one of them around, see how you like it. Make your own scale. Who gives a shit? If you make good music, you don't need to know what the modes are called. Somebody else will label it for you. You know what I mean? Another big benefit to this is it's easier to practice. Like I said, you can go from Lydian to Ionian to Mixolydian, and then back up, and then back down. You can practice these modes up and down the list, changing one note at a time, and really get it in your head of what the differences are, how the intervals sound together, the different harmonies of each mode. It's just so much better than playing the same 7 notes, but just deciding, I'm starting on the second one this time, and then it sounds the same because it's the same. Last reason this is better is because I said so, and if one person said it, then it must be true. It's like I always say, thank you for your attention to this matter. Thank you for watching my video. Watch my next video where I actually practice these and show you how to do it. Thank you. Goodbye.